Hello YouTube viewers, hope you're all doing good. Welcome to this video. I'm Venkat and this is Just Me an Open Source channel. Right, in this video, let's talk about Heartbeat. I'm going to show you a very quick demo how to get started with Heartbeat in your Elasticsearch stack. All right, so this is a request made by one of the viewer. I think her name is Sunita. Hi Sunita, this is for you. And I already played with Heartbeat, but I didn't end up doing a video for that because I wanted to play a little more on Heartbeat before I make a video. So now I've got some confidence in Heartbeat configuration, how it works and so on. So I just wanted to show you this video, and for anyone who is interested in trying out Heartbeat in your Elasticsearch stack, Elastic Stack. Okay, so I'm going to be running Elasticsearch and Kibana on Docker containers on my local host, on my local workstation. And I'm going to spin up a new virtual machine where I'll be installing Heartbeat. So that will be my client. And when it comes to configuring and installing, you'll come to know what it needs, what it takes to set up Heartbeat. All right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to git clone my ELK repository from github.com. I'll paste the link in the description if you want it. So I'm inside my play directory, cd to play directory. This is where I normally work. Okay, so git clone https github.com just me an open source /elk. So that's my ELK repository in GitHub. And if I cd to ELK, cd to Docker. So I've got two Docker files here, docker compose.yaml and docker compose version 7.1.1.yaml. So the original version, this one, Docker compose, I think I used 6.5.4, and we've also got the latest version, version 7 of Elasticsearch. I don't know what's the current version is, but this video I've done some time ago, a while ago, and if you want, you can take a look at that. It's in my Learn Elasticsearch, I think Learn ELK or something. I think it's Learn Elasticsearch playlist in my channel. So I've done a video on that, how to run Docker container or how to run Elasticsearch and Kibana in Docker containers. If you want, you can have a look at that one. So for now, I'm going to move Docker Compose version 7.1.1 YAML to Docker Compose.yaml file, because Docker Compose by default it uses docker-compose.yaml as its configuration file. And I can quickly show you what's in the docker compose.yaml file. So I'm running two services, Elasticsearch and then Kibana. So I'm having a local volume for Elasticsearch for persistence. So it will be a Docker volume. So if you don't define a Docker volume for your Elasticsearch container, and when you restart your Elasticsearch container, you wouldn't have any data at all. So for persistence, make sure to enable the Docker volume so that the content is stored in Docker volume. So there is a slight difference between 6.5.4 and Elasticsearch 7.1.1. So you need to have these parameters defined, otherwise your Elasticsearch container won't start. I'm exposing port 9200 of this container to my local host, and Kibana is running on port 5601. Again, I'm exposing that to my local host so I can access it from my local workstation here. So that's my uh, Elasticsearch and Kibana. So you need to have Docker installed, and you need to have Docker Compose installed. So Docker Compose is a service where you can run and start multiple containers in a single file. So if you're having lots of microservices, you can put them inside a docker compose.yaml, and then with a simple command like docker compose up, docker compose start, stop, restart, you can manage all those containers. Okay, so that's my Docker Compose file. So let's start the Docker Compose. Docker Compose up -d. So that will bring up the Elasticsearch and Kibana container. So if you're running that for the first time, it's going to take a while to pull the Elasticsearch and Kibana container images. I've done that already, so it was really quick. Docker volume ls. So that's the volume es data 1 Elasticsearch data. So that's the Docker volume that I'm using. Okay, so netstat -nlcp. Right. Okay, so that is 9,200 and 5,601 for Kibana and Elasticsearch. Okay, I forgot to mention one thing, but if you have followed my previous Elasticsearch videos about how to run Elasticsearch in Docker containers, I would have told you to set a kernel parameter, which is this one, sudo sysctl -w vm.max map count equals 262.144. So this kernel setting is necessary. It's very mandatory. Otherwise, your Elasticsearch won't run properly. We need to run that one. I already run that. If you haven't, make sure to run this one before starting the containers. Okay, so now we should be having our Elasticsearch and Kibana running. Let's verify that. Let me bring up my web browser and browse to localhost colon 5601. Okay, so that's Kibana starting up. Cool. So we have Kibana, and if I go to index patterns, we don't have any index pattern at all because Elasticsearch is completely empty. We haven't started sending any data to Elasticsearch. So that's what we are going to do now. We are going to log into a separate virtual machine and then install Heartbeat, configure Heartbeat, start Heartbeat, and then Heartbeat will start sending the metrics to Elasticsearch, and then we can access it using Kibana. Okay, so let me log into my virtual machine. So I'm using LXC containers. So I've created an LXC CentOS 7 container. You can see CentOS, it's running. It has got an IP address, and I'm going to log into that CentOS container. LXC exec CentOS bash. Okay, so I'm inside the CentOS container. So now we are good to install Heartbeat. So in my web browser, I'm going to search for the documentation. Elastic install Heartbeat. Okay, step one, install Heartbeat. Install Heartbeat. So I'm going to install. So there are a couple of ways to install. Either you can download and use dpkg or rpm to download the required packages, but that's not a preferred way. The recommended way is to set up the repository. If you're using a Debian based operating system, go for the apt repository. If you're using rpm based operating system like CentOS, Red Hat, SUSE or something, you can use the yum repository. By going for the yum repository option or apt repository option, if there is an update to the software, you can install it. Otherwise, you would have to download it and manually update the software, Heartbeat, for example. Okay, so I'm going to click on this link, install Heartbeat from our repository. So mine is a CentOS 7 container, so I'm going to go for yum. So yum, it's here. So the first thing is to download and install the key. Copy that and paste it. And then I'm going to copy this yum repository configuration. vi etc yum.repos.d elastic.repo. So you can give it any name. And I'm going to paste that one. Okay, that's done. So now if I search for Heartbeat, and you can see Heartbeat-Elastic. So that's the package name. It comes in 64-bit as well as for i686 architecture. So you can install Heartbeat Elastic now. So that's the thing I'm going to do now. Yum install Heartbeat dash Elastic. Okay, yes. Okay, so it's downloading Heartbeat now, and you can see the version is 7.3.1. It doesn't matter because we have installed 7.1.1 as the Elasticsearch. It's backward compatible, so you don't have to worry about that. Right, so we have Heartbeat installed. If I do rpm -ql Heartbeat Elastic, you can see these are the list of files that were installed as part of Heartbeat installation. So the main configuration file is this one, etc heartbeat.yaml file. Okay, so for that, rpm -qc Heartbeat Elastic, so you can find out what the configuration file for this software is, which is etc heartbeat.yaml. So let's start editing that file first. vi etc heartbeat.yaml file. Okay, so heartbeat config monitors. So one thing to note here is there is this path called monitors.d under etc heartbeat. So any file you name, any name .yml will be used as the configuration file. So you don't have to edit this particular configuration file, but you can put any files inside the monitors.d directory and that will get picked up. Okay, so reload enabled is false at the moment. Let's change that to true, which means any configuration file you change or add or delete under monitors.d will be auto picked up. So this heartbeat process will check that directory every 5 seconds, which is configurable, every 5 seconds for any changes, and then it will reload automatically. So you don't have to restart your heartbeat service, it will get reloaded automatically. But I'm going to show you because that's not working when I tested. So even after setting reload.enabled is true, and when I add or update any files under monitors.d directory, it doesn't dynamically reload or do anything as the documentation says. So I had to restart the heartbeat service every time I make some changes. So that's something we need to check. But if anybody got an idea why that's not working, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I'd be very interested in knowing why that's happening. Okay, so and the next thing I'm going to do is configure monitors inline. So either you can configure all your monitors in this file or under monitors.d. So I'm going to use under monitors.d. So I'm going to delete this configuration here, for example, from here until this. So I've completely deleted. So I don't have any monitors configured in my main configuration file. So I will create monitors later under monitors.d directory. Okay, so and then the general configuration, we don't have to do anything about it. And then if you come down to Kibana section, Kibana host, so you have to uncomment this line host, you have to tell heartbeat, so where is my Kibana is running. Okay, so heartbeat will set up Kibana dashboards in your Kibana server, right? So for that you need to specify where is your Kibana running. So in my case, Kibana is running as a Docker container on my local workstation, which is 192.168.1.81. So let's change that to from localhost to 192.168.1.81 5601. So that's the default port that I'm running Kibana on. So that's all we need for Kibana. And in the output section, if we scroll down here, I don't have any Logstash component in my stack. All I'm doing is Elasticsearch, and I want Heartbeat to send all the data directly to Elasticsearch. If you want, you can configure Logstash and send the output to Logstash, and you can parse it. You can um, do whatever you want with your logs that is coming in to Logstash, and then store it in the Elasticsearch. But I'm not using Logstash. I'm directly storing the data in the Elasticsearch. So in here, again, it's running on my local workstation, which is 192.168.1.81 and 9200, right? And if you have configured Elasticsearch with a username and password with some authentication details, here is the entries that you need to update for your username and password. So that's all we need at the moment. So save and exit. So that's done. And now what we got to do is cd to etc heartbeat monitors.d. Okay, in here they have provided you with three sample configuration files, but they won't actually work. They're not active because they have the extension dot disabled. So any configuration file you place in this directory with .yml or .yaml extension, that will get picked up. So as all these are dot disabled, they're not a proper YAML files. Okay, but these are here for your reference. Um, if you want, you can have a look at each of these files, but I'm going to create a new file. Let's say tcp demo.yaml. And the first thing is type. Type is tcp. Name, you can give it a name, tcp demo. And then enabled true. So you can either enable or disable. If you want to disable a particular monitor, you just delete this line or change this to false. So enabled is false, it won't be monitored at all. So the next thing you need is schedule. Schedule can be your normal cron entry like star /5 star. So I want this monitor to check to check every 5 minutes or so. So you can also give options like at every 1 hour or at every 5 seconds. So I'm going to go with at every 5 seconds. I want this monitor to check the host that I'm going to give in. So hosts is the next option. So which host I want to check. Say for example, I want to check 192.168.1.81, which is my host machine. So the service or anything, TCP or HTTP, anything you want to check doesn't have to be on this client machine where you have Heartbeat installed. So it can be on a remote machine or it can be on this machine. I will show both example. So now I'm going to check 192.168.1.81, and then ports is I'm going to say no, you don't need double quotes for that. So for example, let's check 9200 whether Elasticsearch is running or not. So ports is a separate entry, but if you don't want this, you can also specify the port in here itself, 9200. All right, so there are multiple, you can add multiple entries to the host file. For example, another entry 192.168.1.81 colon 5601. So I want to check 9200 5601 if the ports are opened using the TCP type. Every 5 seconds, I'm going to test whether the port 9200 and 5601 is reachable from my machine. Okay, so or the easiest way would be to have this one here and have a separate ports section. So in here you can have 9200, 5601. Okay, so that's all we need. And there is also timeouts section. So um, I'm going to send a request to port 9200. I'm going to wait for like say 10 seconds. And if it doesn't respond within 10 seconds, I'm going to assume that the service is failing or the server is not listening on that port. And there are lots of options you can use. I would advise you to check the three reference YAML files that they have given you so you can go through them. There are lots of options, documented options there. Or you can go to the Elastic Heartbeat documentation where they have mentioned many different options that you can use. So I'm going to go with this default one. All right. Okay. So we are configuring two checks here, port 9200, port 5601. Okay. So I'm going to save that file. And the next thing I'm going to do is heartbeat test config just to check our configurations. Okay, so configurations okay, and the next check I'm going to do is whether my heartbeat can talk to the Elasticsearch and Kibana. For that, heartbeat test output. Okay, so connection is okay, address is 192.168.1.81, and talk to server is okay, and our Elasticsearch version is 7.1.1. Okay, so we are good. The next command is heartbeat setup. So this is going to set up the index in the Kibana. And finally, we need to start the heartbeat service. Systemctl start heartbeat elastic. Okay, so that's started. I'm going to go into Kibana. And if I go to index patterns, let's verify if it's running okay. Create index pattern. Systemctl status heartbeat elastic. Okay, active Elasticsearch is running. Let's go and refresh this. Index patterns. Okay, there we go. We got the index pattern. Heartbeat star. Next step. And I'm going to choose at timestamp. Okay, create index pattern. So our index pattern is now ready. Alright, so now if you go to discover here and you will see all the data from the heartbeat. So heartbeat on my client virtual machine is sending data to Elasticsearch, and we are visualizing it through Kibana. Okay, so where are we going to look at the uptime data? So if you scroll on the left, there is this icon here. And if you want, you can expand that and go to uptime. And in uptime, you can see there are two services and everything is up now. So I'm going to maximize this to show you. All right, so we have two, and if you remember the configuration file, we have named the monitor as TCP demo. So we have two monitors, one for 5601, one for 9200, 192.168.1.81, and everything is looking blue. We have two services, both are up. So this is like heartbeat, checking the heartbeat of a server on a particular port, whether it's up or down. So everything is up at the moment. Okay, let's do one more thing. I'm going to add a new configuration, and let's call it, so we have tcp demo.yaml file, and let's also add, all right, I'm going to edit the same file, vi tcp demo.yaml. You can have, you can edit the same file, or you can add multiple files for different configurations. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the configuration here, and then let me paste it, and I'm going to change this to SSH demo. Enabled is true. I'm going to verify it for every 5 seconds, and the IP address is localhost and the port is 22. So we are going to check every 5 seconds whether SSH server is open or not. So I'm gonna save that, and then so by theory, in theory, because we are changing this file inside the monitors.d and we have got reload enabled is true, the heartbeat process will constantly monitor this directory for any changes and then update it automatically. So let's try and update it. Oh, cool. Oh, this time it actually worked. That's good. That's what I wanted to show you. But when I was testing this video, it didn't actually work. So I had to do systemctl restart heartbeat dash elastic. I had to do that every time I change any configuration under this directory. But this time, the demo gods are really good on me, and it is working. So now you can see here, there are total three services. Two are up and one is down, because this ID here, SSH demo, it shows that 127.0.0.1 because it's running on my client machine, and you can see it is, sorry, wrong window, and you can see it is currently down, and there is one down, and you can see it's down and everything is red. Okay, let's try and fix that. And systemctl status sshd, so ssh daemon is down. Let's start that. Systemctl start sshd, so sshd should be running now, and now we should be able to see it here. Okay, let's refresh it. Okay, as you can see here, the last bar is now blue. So cool. So last two bars are blue. So this is how we configure heartbeat. So that's the dashboard for heartbeat. And if you want, you can also add a HTTP URL. For example, let me edit the same file, but the proper way is to have separate configuration file for separate monitors. Okay. So if I copy the same address, same configuration, let me paste that here. Okay, and change the type to HTTP, and I'm going to change the name to HTTP demo. Enabled is true, schedule every 5 seconds, and instead of hosts, you're going to say URLs, and we don't need ports for that. And I'm going to say http colon 192.168.1.81 colon 9200. So that's my Elasticsearch URL. I'm going to verify every 5 seconds that my Elasticsearch URL can be reached from this client machine. So that's the check here. And if you look at one of the sample configuration, you will have lots of configuration options for HTTP, whether it's SSL or if it needs some authentication, username and password needs to be passed on. You can pass all those options here. and you can also check the method, whether it's a post method or get method, or you can also check the payload, what's the content that's you're getting back, and if you're expecting any particular string on that content, and all sorts of things you can check using heartbeat. Okay, let me save that and come back here and refresh it. If it doesn't work, then we might have to go and enable or restart the heartbeat elastic service. Let's see. Okay, cool. So now it has found it. Chart is not available for the first few checks, but it will be available once it has done like a couple of checks. Okay, so that's HTTP demo. And if you look at the URL, the protocol is HTTP 192.168.1.81, and everything is looking good. Okay, cool. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. It's not a very big thing. I've shown metric beat, I've shown file beat, and this is the heartbeat. There are all other sorts of beats. There is audit beat and there is win log beat, I think. I'm not a Windows person, so I'm not going to be doing any demo on win log beat. I don't have a Windows machine at all, and maybe I can do audit beat at some point in the future if I have some time. Okay, I hope you found this video useful. If you liked it, please share it with your friends. Hi Sunita, I hope you found this video useful. I think it might have answered some of your questions. If not, let me know. I'll be able to respond to you in the comment section. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all in another video. Bye bye.